Can you describe to me your first experience with the harp? Yes, I can. I played music ever since I was a little kid. When I was 7, I started on the ukulele, something I will never forget. Will never forget my mother showing me the position on the ukulele and how you could play chords, and that gave you complete freedom in the world because I could accompany myself and sing and play whatever I wanted. And that was when I was 7, and then at 10 I asked my mother how to play the piano, and she told me how to play chords on the piano. So it became very clear that I really, really loved music, and all I ever did was write musicals and love music. And so my parents kept trying, to give me piano lessons, which I didn't like, and then they thought, well, I'll give her guitar lessons, which I didn't like. And then they were like, they had moved to North Carolina, and my mother was a student at the North Carolina School for the Performing Arts. In fact, she was the first person to graduate from that school. And so they had all these artists and musicians around them. And so she connected, as they were trying, this amazing guitarist for me to work with. I wasn't really interested. And so then they asked the harpist if they could borrow a harp from her and if she would give me harp lessons. I think they were thinking like, we'll get her to take lessons by this amazing instrument. So I walked into the living room one day, and there was a harp, and I loved the way it looked because it was very simple. It was one of those small Lyon and Healy student harps. It had pedals, and I loved the mechanism. I loved the machinery of it, and how the pedals would move the cams and go up through the column of the harp. And so I really loved that about it. But after taking some lessons and realizing that I kind of had to fit into a certain persona that I wasn't comfortable with in order to be a harp player, that's at least how it was back then in that particular place, it just wasn't something that I wanted to do. And so I think at that moment what my parents realized was, oh, she likes music but she doesn't like lessons. And so they gave the harp back, and I was free to just play the piano and write musicals for so on and so on. But I kept thinking about the harp, and I kept thinking about the fact I loved the hand position, because my mother and my whole family had this funny thing where whenever you see a picture of her, you'd see her with her thumb sticking out. And I had that too. My thumbs were sticking out. Well, bizarrely, that is the physical finger position you want for the harp. So somehow my hands were sort of built that way. So later on, I got interested in harp again. When I was probably around 18 or 19, started with a teacher, wasn't interested, blah, blah, blah. Got into my college. My college needed a harp player. So I had these 6 lessons as a kid, knew how to tune it, had, like a couple other lessons, and so I became the harp player. Or I said, I want to play the harp. It's a little more complicated than that. But the thing that really happened then that made a huge difference is that they connected me with a teacher named Linda Wood Rollo, and she knew how to connect with me. She knew how to challenge me. She knew how to accept me as a composer and to understand that she wasn't going to make me into anything else, but she wasn't going to make me into the kind of harpist that, like a different kind of harpist. I was going to be me. But she very cleverly set up a series of challenges. She'd say something like, well, you've only been playing 6 months. I know, you won't win this concerto contest, but I would really like you to I just want you to go and do it. I just want you to practice for it, and I just want you to go to the contest. But don't worry, you're not going to have to win or anything like that. And she would set these up. Well, as it turns out, I went to the concerto contest, and nobody else showed up. So I won and ended up playing the concerto. But this was, I think, maybe the most important thing to realize, that while I was interested in the instrument because of its mechanics and how it worked, and I loved to do things with my hands, I wasn't drawn to the instrument. But this one teacher knew how to connect with me and how to do what set me, all I can just keep saying is challenges. She set me challenges that really allowed me to kind of dig in. And she is really the reason why I became a harp player.